All right. So the number of half steps. So how many half steps are between a C and a C? 0. Okay. So from a C to a D flat, how many half steps is that? 1. Whereas from a C to a D, which we would call a whole step, how many half steps is that? 2. Okay. Now, what type of interval is a C and a C together? That's a unison. Okay. So, and what type of interval is a C to a D flat? Or a C to a D of any kind? Second. So we call that a second, and we would also call this a second, right? Okay? So we're going to call this a minor second with a little m, and we're going to call this a major second with a big M. All right? How many half steps? So if this is 2 half steps, C going to D is 2 half steps. What's C going to E flat going to be? 3. And what type of interval is that? A third. We're also going to call this a third, even though that's 4 half steps. What do you think? What type of third do you think this is going to be? Minor. And major. Now, how many half steps are here?
4.
Nope. There are. It is a fourth, I think, is what you were thinking.
Yeah.
But the number of half steps from a C to an F is 5, because we're adding a half step each time here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not by mistake. And this over here is also a fourth. And how many half steps are here? 6. Now, what type of fourth do you think this is going to be? Oh, sorry. Any guesses? Wrong. So this is going to be called a perfect fourth with a P. And this is going to be called an augmented fourth with a big A. Now over here, how many half steps are right there? What? Nope. Actually, because C to F sharp is the same as C to G flat, because F sharp and G flat are the same, it's actually still going to be 6 half steps, but it's not a fourth, it's a fifth. This is also a fifth, because it's also C to G, and that's 7 half steps. But this is perfect over here, and this one is diminished with a little d.
What's the difference between diminished and augmented?
I'll get to that in a moment. So let me finish the answers, and then I'll give you a little bit more why. Okay, so then we add a half step here, and it goes to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so this is called a minor sixth, and this is a major sixth. This is a minor 7th, and this is a major 7th. And then this is a perfect octave, a P1, or an octave. This is a unison or a, sorry, P8 is what I meant. This is a unison or a perfect unison, a P1, okay? So, there's a couple different ways to explain when it's major or minor and when it's perfect or augmented. But the general gist is that major and minor intervals are both normal. Neither of them is a weird interval, okay? Augmented and diminished intervals are weird. I'll play it for you. Here's a C to an F sharp or a C to a G flat. So this is either an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. They sound the same. Ain't that pretty? So, there are other types of augmented and diminished intervals which are not common. For example, a C to an F flat is the same sound as a C to an E. Are we agreed? But we don't call a C to an F flat a major third. We call it a diminished fourth because it's a weird interval that you wouldn't normally see. So in general, augmented and diminished are abnormal intervals. But they will occur, and the most common augmented and diminished intervals are a fourth that's too big or a fifth that's too small. And so fourths and fifths and unisons and octaves are in their normal states perfect intervals. Whereas the other intervals could be major or minor, and neither is weird. Both will often happen in music. Okay? And we will spend more time on that on future worksheets, but it's good for you to have all this information on this worksheet so that when we get to another worksheet, this is almost more of like a study guide for you to use. And then you should know how to do the key signatures. Don't forget about the bass clef. And stop.